Good morning. I'll be reading out of Matthew chapter 5, verses 15 through 18. Verily, verily, I say unto you, I give unto you to be the salt of the earth. But if the salt shall lose its savor, wherewith shall the earth be salted? The salt shall thenceforth be good for nothing, but to be cast out and be trodden under the foot of men. Verily, verily, I say unto you, I give unto you to be the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Behold, do men light a candle and put it under a bushel? Nay, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light to all that are in the house. Therefore let your light so shine before this world, that they may see your good works, and glorify your Father who is in heaven. As I've been praying and thinking and studying about what I should share this week, this has probably been one of the more difficult messages to prepare for because of some things going on in my personal and professional life. But as I sat down, I was kind of looking at the crowd. And for those of you who are visitors or who don't know, I've only attended Colburn about 5 or 6 years, but I looked around the crowd, and it's interesting when you stand up here or sit up here, how many somber faces there are, people that don't look too thrilled to be at church. But as I was sitting, I was thinking about love, and I was thinking about the message of today. And I saw so many faces of people that I've known for so long. I first saw Danny, and I remember walking around Knob Noster at senior high camp or junior high camp, I can't remember, and Danny was the same thoughtful person then as he is now, and mature beyond his years, even as a 13-year-old or however old he was. I saw Joseph, and I remember thinking about playing football over by MCI, and the two of us would be super winded as the people that were maybe in better shape than us were running around and keep running around, and I remember I was at least very tuckered out, and I think Joseph was probably closer to my level of tuckered out, maybe not quite so much. I think about Carolyn Roberson. I remember over at Highland Park, her children went to school at Highland Park when I taught there in 6th grade, and I still remember images of her working in the copy room, volunteering her time, doing stuff for the teachers, and just being there and being a great supportive mother and a great member of the community. I think of Mikey and the long drives we used to have in my Jeep Wrangler with the top down, talking about life and talking about whether or not he's going to keep working in a cave, counting something, I don't know, or waste his time on a few years of nursing school, and so pleased to see that. I think of Leanne walking around the halls of, I think it was William Chrisman, after a PD and just talking about things. I think Jeff had just gotten his principal's job up in Liberty, and they were pondering where they were going to live, what they were going to do. I remember talking to her about that. I remember never remembering Elizabeth's name at camp. She always gave me a hard time because she'd say, "What's my name?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm so bad at names. I'm really glad I remembered today when I said that." And I just remember, I remember so many good memories. I remember getting to know so many other families. I remember the first time I met David was on a float trip. And that was right before he fell head over heels for Kathy. I remember driving back and just having all just long talks with David. I remember Kathy when she was, maybe 15 or 16 years old, probably 15 or 14 even. First year she was at senior high camp. It was the first year of the internship. I had just met Jared, and somebody had mentioned, "Oh, she's kind of cute," and we're sitting right next to Jared, and Jared was like, "That's my brother, that's my sister." And just the memories, and I look across, and I see so many familiar faces. I remember Megan Rhodes when she was, 2, 3, I have no idea how long I've known Megan, just probably the age of Jacob when she was running around. But it makes me think of the love that I have just for the few people I mentioned. I have memories for many others. It makes me think of that love that I have for each of those people. A couple weeks ago, I was having to fill in for my, we usually for dismissal, we have about 100 kids that dismiss by car every day, and so has to work pretty machine-like in order to get everybody out of the building in a timely fashion. And so my custodian typically has a walkie-talkie, and she's calling names, and they go out, and we load them by cones. And so we have 6 cones, and they load up. And I was doing her job, yes, she was off that day, and I don't know the parents' names very well, and as some of you may or may not know, I'm bad at names, as I kind of talked about earlier. And so we have all these families that we're running through, and about a third of our population at my school is Hispanic. And so not only is it all these names, it's sometimes names that I have trouble pronouncing. But I was standing there going through all these names, and I still remember seeing one of our moms and her beautiful smile, and hearing her kids' names, and she has 3 kids, and remember floundering through, making sure I said all their names correctly, because they're all Hispanic names, and they're not horrible as far as pronunciation goes, but they're not ones that I say every day. And I just remember that image in my head, and it normally wouldn't be an image that would stick with me, were not for the fact that just a few days later she would pass away on Sunday 2 weeks ago. And leave those 3 kids motherless. Made me think of the love that Jesus Christ has for each of us. And how much he wants us to be with him. I think sometimes we get bogged down in the concept of sin. We get bogged down in the idea that there's this list of do's and don'ts. We want to make sure that we don't do the don'ts and we do the do's. But those are all centered around being able to, 1, live a productive, happy life, and 2, be able to be with him for eternity. It's not just he wants our fealty. He wants us to be able to dwell in his presence. Because if we're filled with those thoughts and those actions and those deeds that would take us away from him, we won't be able to be with him. It's not that he wouldn't want us to. It's that we'd be incapable of being in his presence. I'm going to read a little bit from Matthew chapter 25. We're going to start in verse 13, if you'd like to follow along. Now I liken these things unto a parable. For it is like a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability, and straightway went on his journey. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded the same, and gained other 5 talents. And likewise he who received 2 talents, he also gained another 2. But he who had received 1 went and digged it in the earth, and hid his Lord's money. After a long time the Lord of those servants came and reckoned with them. And so he that had received the 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained besides them 5 talents more. His Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast done faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. He also that hath received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 talents besides them. His Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee a ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. Then he who received 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee thou art a hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not scattered. And I was afraid. And I went and hid thy talent in the earth. And lo, here is thy talent. Take it from me as thou hast from thine and all other servants, for it is thine. His Lord answered and said unto him, O wicked and slothful servant, thou knowest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not scattered. Having known this, therefore, thou oughtest to put my money into the exchangers, and at my coming I should have received mine own with usury. I will take, therefore, the talent from you, and give it unto him who hath 10 talents. For unto every one who hath obtained other talents shall be given, and he shall have in abundance. But from him that hath not obtained other talents shall be taken away even that which he hath received. So we're going to do a little activity this morning, and this is going to be outside of our comfort zones. We don't do stuff like this very often. But I'd like for everybody to take an opportunity and think about what talents that you have in life. What things the Lord has given you, what gifts the Lord has given you that you might manifest and share in this life. So I'm going to give you about 15 seconds, and it's going to seem like 15 minutes. And we're just going to be silent. I want everybody to think about what talents you have. Okay, now I'd like for you to take another few seconds, and I'd like for you to share with somebody near you what talents that you identified that you had. So this is going to cause you to use your voices now. I know it's uncomfortable because we're in a church. So go ahead and use your voices and share with those around you what talents you think you have. And if there's not somebody close to you, please make sure you get to share with somebody. Okay, about 15 or 20 more seconds. Whether you're 2 or whether you're 92, you have talents. So make sure you're sharing them. Okay, now, since Tom's standing, I want you to, sorry. Yeah, you've already broken out of the mold enough. Tom, would you please share yourselves, and if you don't mind, Joseph's talent?
One thing I didn't know is that I'm just an electrician, but I didn't know is he's artistic. He draws and he paints, and I didn't know his life was patient with children, which is not one of my talents at all. So those were things I didn't know about.
And how about yourself?
I teach. I think I have a gift to love people. I don't think it's something I do on my own. I think it's a gift I just love people in general.
Okay, since these poor guys are up front, I'm going to have Aaron, would you come share about the two of you what your two talents are?
We only mentioned one each, but though there are many more I know for Earl. But Earl mentioned he's talented with big machinery, and I mentioned that I'm talented with computers.
Okay, how about you two? One of you.
Scott, he says he can relate to children, and we said probably because he's so hairy. And he says he thinks they get a kick out of him, but no, he says he can relate to kids and that he can touch with them on a personal level. And I said basically that I'm a good listener, and I have like Tom, I have a love for people, and I have an upbeat attitude. So I think a lot of people that are down come to me, and I'm able to lift them up.
Okay, David, would you share yourselves and whoever you talk to's talents? This is where it's really bad to know me really well and to be a friend because I might just pick on you. So David, go ahead.
Emma has a real talent for singing in her parts. So Ethan has a very distinct talent with sports. Bo is a really good builder, so it's really interesting to, as a parent, see how your children are very different, but also know that they can articulate that and also acknowledge that that's a gift from God. So that's especially here.
And your talent. It's harder to share your own talents, I realize. It's a lot easier to share somebody else's talent. Share your own.
I really enjoy networking with people. And I think that's something that God has allowed me to work on.
Okay. Dale, would you share yours? Just because I've known you since I was, 2 or 3, I have no idea. Well, friends and longtime acquaintances, there you go.
Well, Rita has the ability to work with children, to teach I enjoy teaching. I enjoy photography. Those are some of the talents I have.
All right, Jeff, since we're colleagues, I could pick on you.
Lean and I had a discussion, and she feels like one of her strong talents is working with kids, and I've seen her in that capacity and completely agree with that. I feel like one of my strengths, one of my talents is the ability to connect with individuals, adults. We work with very diverse populations and individuals that are very different from us at times in many capacities, and still being able to open our hearts and make those connections.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to share about the talents of you or those around you? Oh, well, I have to share mine, I guess. I'll have Mikey share his in just a second. And so, mine, as Jeff kind of alluded to, another part of our jobs is to kind of organize things. And so, like, trying to organize groups is one of the things that I feel is like a talent to a certain degree. All right, Mikey, go ahead.
Weston's got a talent of loving people unconditionally. My wife's is kindness and strength.
Sing a little bit. And you also did a good job stalling. I don't know for those of you who noticed. I'd ran to Mikey before the service. I'd, take your time, Mike. Don't try to hurry. And so I think he prolonged the prelude music a little bit. And so he's a good friend as well. I don't know about you, but to me it's inspiring to hear about other people's talents. I think it's kind of fun, and it allows us to get to know each other and to get to bond a little bit. But the important part is, it's not just the fact that we have these talents, but it's figuring out ways in life that we can share those for the furtherment of the kingdom. And so that's my challenge to you in this segment, is to think about what you can do with the talents that you shared. And unfortunately, you just shared those. Some of you had to share them with the whole crowd. Some of you just share them with one or two people. And so those are people that can help hold you accountable. And they can see whether or not you're sharing your talent. Some of you might be able to see that in a really tangible way. Sometimes you might have to ask the person that shared their talents with you. But make sure you're sharing those talents so that those talents can grow, and then the Lord will bless you with new talents. Now I'd like to turn to Matthew chapter 25. It's just a continuation almost of where we've been. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then he shall sit upon the throne of his glory. And before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth sheep from the goats. The sheep on his right hand, and the goats on his left. And he shall sit upon his throne, and the 12 apostles with him. Then shall the king say unto them at his right hand, Come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was a-hungered, and you gave me meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me to drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. Naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Lord, when saw thee an hungered, and fed thee, or thirsty, and gave thee drink? When saw we thee a stranger, and took thee in, or naked, and clothed thee? Or when saw we thee sick, or in prison, and came unto thee? And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, insomuch as ye have done it unto the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me. I think it's important to note that that's a list of things that we're supposed to do. It's not a list of thou shalt nots. It's a list of, these are those who are selected to sit on the king's right hand at the day of judgment. And they were given a list of things. Here's why. It wasn't because you refrained from this or didn't do that. It was because you did things to bless other people. Each of these is an effect, what you're doing to promote the kingdom, but also it's how you're affecting other people's lives. Then shall he say unto them on the left hand, Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was an hungered, and you gave me no meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and you took me not in. Naked, and you clothed me not. Sick, and in prison, and you visited me not. Then shall they answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee a hungered, or athirst, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not minister unto thee? Then shall he answer them, saying, Verily I say unto you, insomuch as you did not one of these my brethren, ye did it not unto me. And these shall go away into everlasting punishment, but the righteous into life eternal. And so that's the second charge for today, is I want you to find out those ways that you can provide those needs for other people. They're all around us. Unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, in my job, I get to see a lot of opportunities for giving. And I don't always do the job I should in helping fulfill those needs. But regardless, each of you have opportunities to provide those needs for other people. So share your talents and help others. God bless you.